On today's episode of Watch Jericho, we are back for the very most absolutely finalist episode with my Harley Vrod. It's gonna be gone after this. All right, we're making a quick stop here at O'Reilly's to pick up, hopefully, the very last piece of the Harley, an M10 banjo bolt. Let's see if they got it.
Hello, buddy. Hey, what's going on?
What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jericho, and today, like I said, we're here with my Vrod, the very first year of the Vrod, the 2003, and this bike has been through a lot. I bought it for $3,000. We've put over $3,500 of parts in it. It's insane. It's basically like having one of the brand new ones for way less money. A lot of the brand new ones sell for like $10,000. This one, I've got $6,500 in, and that $6,500 includes new rotors, new Brembo brakes from the newer bikes, the slipper clutch from the newer bikes, the Screaming Eagle clutch, brand new tires, Metzler, I forgot, Metzler Marathons, new grips, new controls. All the controls were beat up when I bought this. New mirrors, new chrome trim in the front. Honestly, I think that's pretty close to what's been done on this bike. Everything has been done. Oh, all new fluids, obviously, and Motul in all the brakes. But in the last episode that I thought was the last one, we had a problem, and that was the brake line for the rear wouldn't fit. And I was like, that's no big deal. I'll just order a brake line. There's a place called Sundowners in Newton, Kansas that we worked on the Rolls Royce with, and they can make any brake line you need immediately too. They basically have every part in stock. They are awesome. Any color, any fitting, AN, brake, he can do it. So that guy would have gotten this done, but my dad was like, you don't need to order a brake line. Also, it looks like the brake line would be insane to replace. It runs obviously from the foot pedal up there all the way down the frame. Inside, it looks like it's gonna be really hard to get out. So Dad was like, just buy a 90. So I bought a 90-degree banjo bolt here that, well, it's really not even a 90, it's whatever that is, it's a perpendicular. So this should let us keep our Brembo calipers here with the factory brake line, but I had to rig all this up. I had to order this, and of course the brake company won't sell you parts, basically, because it's such a specialty part. They had a minimum order instead of just like marking it up, which I wish they would have like auto marked up the shipping or something like that. So I got 2 of these. I got a bunch of extra crush washers. Then I had to run to O'Reilly's and buy banjo bolts. If you're working on your Harley Vrod, M10 by 1 is the thread pitch. So a lot of the standard stuff is like M10 by 1.5. You won't be able to use that. So O'Reilly's, luckily, keeps this one in stock, H9488-2. This is a really long M10-1, and I don't think I need this one. I think it's too long. And then over here, we have one that they were able to order from the hub. That's H9504-2. This one's about 1 inch. So basically we need to take this brake line, it's tucked in right here. Obviously we haven't been really moving the bike or riding it since. Put the fitting onto that, turn it sideways, and then put another banjo bolt in there. And that will allow the fluid to come in there, squirt into this one, and go through the second banjo bolt and squirt into the brake caliper, and we should be good to go. So we're gonna have to bleed the brakes today, get this all rigged up, and I think it's finally fixed. I like this fix too better than trying to replace that brake line, and it was $3, and I assume a brake line would have cost way more money. This was $3.49 or something too, so $6 all in, not a bad fix. So this one $3 part was holding up the entire Vrod sale. After this, it's got to go. So let's get this thing put together and see if we got a Vrod we can go ride today. It's perfect. It's 70 degrees outside, so it'll be the first time I've actually ridden this in a long, long time. I hope it's not dead. It might start. Cool. It's been sitting for, you know, a month or 2 months since the last time we worked on it. All right, now for the fun part. Can we make this work? So we have, oh, I did lose a banjo bolt already. Let me clean this up. Come on. All right, I'm gonna go clean up this banjo bolt, the factory one there, because we're definitely gonna reuse that. And then of course, here is the one from O'Reilly's that I think we'll also be able to use. And we have new crush washers for everything, so that's nice. Yeah, that looks like as close as you get to the Harley one. Threads are the same, everything should work out. Let's get this put together here. We are gonna have to run the longer one on there and the shorter one on here. It looks like this one is way too short. That is not enough thread. Luckily I got two. That's much better. We got enough thread protrusion there. I'm not in love with the color, but honestly, it's kind of invisible once this thing's installed. So let's rock and roll. Now I'll snug this up, turn this line around, and we have brakes again. I'm gonna wipe everything out because there's a little bit of nasty paint breakdown in the end of that line there. We got our factory banjo bolt all cleaned up. The only thing I'm gonna miss about this whole install is the original had, let's make sure this is, I think this is gonna fit. I tried to fit this at O'Reilly's to make sure that our lengths were right, and I think they were. Find our brake line that just escaped me. The front ones were vacuum bled, that's where I was going with this. And that vacuum bleed was incredible. Best brakes I've ever felt in my life. And unfortunately, we can't repeat that. And just like that, we should have working brakes again. I just have to tighten this guy down, take a minute here, and shoot some fluid into it. I brought some more .4 from Motul so we can make this thing into the race bike that the V-Rod is. Then we can take it out and ride it. The radiator trim has to come back off to get up here to the brake reservoir. There's just one tin that holds that on down at the bottom, and then two Phillips right here. Now we can refill the system, pop that bleeder open back there, and we should have brakes again. You know, if everything goes according to plan, it never does, but there's still brake fluid in here actually. I am surprised. All right, let's make sure we're sending some to the back. Nothing's coming out. I can hear the fluid going in though. You can actually hear the air pressure building up back there, and we're definitely getting something through there, but no brake fluid's coming out yet. Just get a pump on it. Kind of hard to see on camera, I guess. Oh, right there, you can see all the air flying out of this thing right now. I've got the vacuum pump on here. We actually are holding a ton of vacuum, so the system's not leaking, no drips anywhere. It looks like we're just getting all the junk pulled out of this. I'm gonna empty the entire line here, and it is pulling a ton of brake fluid out of this reservoir. So it's about time to refill it. We're running out of brake fluid, but here in just a moment, I think we'll have all the air out, and then we should be ready to close this thing up and go ride it. This has taken a long time just to go find the brake bleeding tools basically, but we're getting it done. And for a long time there, I was hand bleeding it and I wasn't making a lot of progress, so I had to go get that vacuum bleeder, and now it looks like we are finally making some progress. I'm ready to close it up and see the brakes run. We're finally in business. This thing is just ripping the fluid out of there, and I think soon, it looks like we're getting close to the no bubble zone here. I'm having to refill this about every 15 seconds or something like that, 30 seconds. So I'm getting all the old fluid out. Obviously we're going from whatever, the purple stuff, .5, over to .4. The Brimbos require .4, and Harleys love the .5. So some people say that you just run whatever in these brakes, but we're gonna switch to the good stuff here. And in just a moment, look at that. It's halfway gone again. We should have this all cleaned up. So complete fluid switch. We've got all the ingredients of a proper brake job here, brake fluid all over the place. I ended up pressure bleeding this thing in reverse. I don't know why that always seems to work, but I filled up the cup there with our RBF 700. We got our racing fluid there, right? And I filled it all the way up, and then opened up the bleeder and just shoved all the fluid back up to the front, and all the rest of the trash, the nasty fluid came out, reversed the process, suck all that back out, and then did it one more time, and the rear brakes work, and they work well. So if I step on that brake, you guys can see it. Immediately grab the disc there, so we are good to go. I'm ready to go ride this thing. This took like a couple hours, honestly, but if we can get this thing out of here, it's time to go ride the V-Rod for the first time in ages. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know why that's always true, but if you bleed from the caliper back up to the master, it seems like it works perfectly every time for me. It never lets me down. And the other way, you better have two people if you're gonna try to do a normal bleed. The way we did the front, of course, like I said earlier, was with an electronic vacuum pump with one of those little cups, and it let us change all the fluid. It was replacing it like you know, the entire system, it was circulating out a full reservoir every few seconds. So we just keep pouring it in as it was sucking the fluid out, and immediately the front brakes were incredible. So should be all good now. Shouldn't have any air left because we pushed it. This is the highest point, I gotta say. So it's kind of a tough thing to bleed anyway because your reservoir is way down low up there. So going from the back to the front does make sense, but we got it done. That's all that to say, we got it done. I can't wait to take it out.
Let me put everything back together, clean up my mess, and we're home free.
Let's go, baby! Last piece.
Oh, brake fluid.
Straight to the car wash with this thing.
That's more like it.
And it's gone, off to the for sale zone. The Vrod is a blast to ride. I'm sure you can tell by my hair. I really do love the way that thing, it makes great power. It's fun to ride. This was the best ride I've ever had with it too. Went and washed it up, got all the dust off it, cleaned off any residual brake fluid. I am a huge fan of it, but it really does need to go. It's been here for a year, so it took a complete year to replace basically every part of that. And don't forget about that wheel bearing saga that had to be driven out because we couldn't get it off with the biggest sledgehammer there was. And it was just it was a whole thing. So anyway, that is the Vrod rebuilt from top to bottom, and a $3 part that held us up for another month. Those specialty parts can really get you. It took a long time for that to come in. Anyway, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjergo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. If you want that thing, shoot me an email. And also, I just sold the cab over, which I'm super excited about as well. Not having to part that out is a big bonus. One more note about the Vrod. There are no parts for that thing, which is one of the reasons it took so long to finish this thing up. Pretty much, Harley makes a few of the parts that are, you know, consumables, but most of the stuff is gone. And I was thinking, maybe I should keep that thing and we should start making Vrod parts. We could tear that thing all down, duplicate it all, and start selling complete Vrod setups. Like that rear axle, impossible to replace. So it might be cool to do something like that.